Welcome, everyone. So today we're going to dive into a really powerful idea from Dr. Peter Attia's book, Outlive. It's basically a whole new way to think about our health, a framework that shifts our goal from just, adding more years to our life to adding more life to our years. So let's just start with a question that really cuts right to the heart of this. Are you training for the last decade of your life? And I'm not talking about that marathon you signed up for next year or looking good for the summer. I mean really training for the ability to be functional, to be joyful in your 80s, 90s, and hey, maybe even beyond. Let's dig into why this shift in thinking is so critical. To really understand the problem we're trying to solve here, let's look at a story from the book, the story of a woman named Sophie. It's such a powerful example of what can happen when a life is long, but not necessarily lived well. So, in her prime and well into her retirement, Sophie was the picture of health. You know the type. She just seemed ageless, always active, and so deeply wrapped up in the things she loved, like her beautiful garden and hitting the golf course. By all accounts, she was living the absolute ideal retirement. But that's not where her story ends. See, a fall she took while gardening started this cascade of physical decline. The severe pain that followed took away her passions, which then led to depression and eventually dementia. Sophie lived to be 83, but the joy, the thing that made life worth living, was just robbed from her final years. This is the exact fate that this new health strategy is designed to prevent. Sophie's story isn't just a personal tragedy, though. It actually shines a massive spotlight on a systemic problem in how we all approach health. Dr. Attia gives it a name. He calls it Medicine 2.0. Medicine 2.0 is the world we all live in. And look, it's miraculous at what it does. It can swoop in and save us from heart attacks, cancer, major trauma. But its entire focus is reactive. It waits for the problem to happen, and it's fundamentally, completely unequipped to stop that problem from happening in the first place. Attia uses this incredible analogy for this. He compares Medicine 2.0 to the Titanic, spotting an iceberg only moments before impact and then making this desperate last-ditch effort to swerve. The alternative, what he calls Medicine 3.0, is like having GPS and radar to chart a course that avoids the entire ice field altogether. That is the strategic shift we need to make. And this imbalance, it's built right into the system. The financial incentives are all completely backward. I mean, think about it. We pay for expensive insulin once a patient already has diabetes, but not for the lifestyle coaching that could have prevented it. We cover a super costly hip surgery after a fall, but not the strength training that could have kept that person on their feet to begin with. All the money follows the disease, not the person's health. Okay, so if Medicine 2.0 is the problem, what's the solution? Well, it's a completely new philosophy, a proactive approach Attia calls Medicine 3.0, and it's all focused on a concept called healthspan. This chart just makes the difference crystal clear. The goal of Medicine 2.0, our current system, is just a longer lifespan, which, as we saw with Sophie, can just mean more years of decline. But Medicine 3.0 focuses on extending your health span. The approach shifts from reactive to proactive, from just treating disease to actively preventing that slow decay of function that comes before it. It is a long-term game. And this right here is the core idea. Health span isn't just about the absence of sickness. It's about the quality of your years. It's having the physical and cognitive ability to do the things you love, to be engaged, to be present, to actually thrive. It's exactly what Sophie lost in her final decade. Okay, this all sounds great in theory, right? But how do we actually put it into practice? That's where this really cool strategic framework called the centenarian decathlon comes in. You know, Sun Tzu's wisdom is so key here. Random diets, different workouts, new supplements, those are just tactics. They're noise. Without an overarching strategy, a really clear goal you're training for, they're probably just going to fail. We have to know why we're doing what we're doing. So your strategy then is to train for your own personal centenarian decathlon. And you are the one who defines the finish line. You sit down and create a list of the essential physical things you want to be capable of doing at age 90 or 100. And then you work backward from there, and you start training for those events today. And just notice how simple and yet how profound these goals are. This isn't about running an ultra marathon. No, it's about the fundamental tasks of an independent, engaged life. Being able to lift your grandchild, carrying your own groceries, having the strength to put your own luggage in an overhead bin. These are the true gold medals of a long life lived well. But building a body that can last is only part of the equation. There's another equally important pillar that we so often ignore until it's way too late: our emotional health. This quote from David Brooks just captures the idea perfectly. We spend so much of our lives accumulating what he calls resume virtues. Degrees, job titles, accomplishments. But what about our eulogy virtues? What will people say about who we were, not just what we did? In the book, Attia is incredibly vulnerable about his own journey with this. He realized that despite all his professional success, a whole mountain of resume virtues, he had completely neglected his emotional well-being. And this created this deep anger and unhappiness that was basically poisoning his life and hurting the people he loved the most. And this reveals such a crucial truth. Emotional health is not a soft skill. It's not a secondary concern. It requires the exact same strategic, proactive, and daily effort as our physical health. It's really the engine that gives all our physical efforts purpose. I mean, after all, a long, healthy life isn't much of a prize if you're miserable or all alone. So this brings everything right back to you. This isn't just some interesting concept, it's a call to action. I want you to take a moment today and really think about it. What do you want to be able to do in your last decade? What physical tasks, what relationships, what joys are absolutely non-negotiable for you? Define your events, and then you can start training for them.